Hey, I'm Naomi and welcome to Nerf This, your weekly one-stop roundup of the Korean Tier 2 Overwatch scene. Now, Week 5 of Contenders Korea 2021 Season 1 did initially promise us some closer matchups, and whilst it didn't quite provide on that front, it did give us our very first definitive ins and outs going into the Interleague. So let's take a look at this week's games and the current standings. The first game of the week saw O2 Blast take on Starlight Gaming. It was a pretty standard wash, with O2 managing to preserve their map count despite Starlight's best efforts on point C of Havana, a true last Hail Mary if there ever was one, and ultimately took the game 3-0. The second match was the first game in what feels like forever to break the 3-0 streak between Gen.G and Diamond. On paper, this should have been a close one, but Gen.G was all over the place. They came out on Ilios with a weird support line and didn't win a single fight. On Blizzard World, they had all but one point A with 6 ults, but then somehow proceeded to lose it and get full held. They came back after halftime looking a little revitalized by taking Havana, but it ultimately could have been Diamond's map if Inhyuk didn't mismanage his shatter. Anubis was our first map for in 84 years, but Becky said no further. Becky got on Echo and said this ends here, and indeed it did. Starlight won 3-1, giving Gen.G their 4th loss and boot straight out of Season 1. Day 2 opened with Talon versus Runaway, a match that was close out of the gate on Ilios, but when Talon were able to keep Hisang alive long enough, they managed to snatch the map. Runaway put up a decent fight, but the tank difference was just too much of a hurdle. Talon steamrolled their way through Havana to a 3-0. Our final match was BM versus CC. BM really did try their best, but Easy Han and Easy Han's Bob were their worst enemy, and their fate was sealed when they failed to complete Blizzard World with 4 minutes and 51 seconds on point C. There were brief moments where Alyssa and Babel were able to secure a fight-winning position, but the team as a whole ultimately didn't know how to cash those in, resulting in a rather predictable 3-0 win for Talon. So with our Week 5 matches out of the way, we've got our first teams eliminated from Season 1. Gen.G and Starlight mathematically cannot crawl their way out of 5th place, which means they will not be joining us in the Interleague. Of course, the top seeds are still to play for and will finally be decided next week. 3 Overwatch will likely be banished in Week 6, and if you've only got time to catch one of the games next week, I'd recommend changing up your schedule because the whole of Day 2 is just not to be missed. Finally, we get to see the clash of the Titans, T1 versus Talon and O2 versus CC. These 4 have dominated the group stages from start to finish and are finally taking each other on, so it's not to be missed. And that's all this week. If you've made it this far, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing and dropping a comment below to let us know who you think is going to take it in Week 6. I'll be back next week with the coverage for the Week 6 games. Bye!